Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this short video, I'd like to update with something I was discussing last week. Like Al Capone a century earlier, would it be the taxman who finally brings Tommy Robinson to account, despite being famous for much more serious offences? I discussed how tax lawyer Dan Needle was commenting on the reports of Tommy Robinson's business interests collapsing, having not posted annual accounts, which is illegal, and where almost all of the debt was owed to HMRC, which is highly unusual. Didn't really add up, he was suggesting, unless we suppose that these businesses were just being set up as a way of evading tax. Would HMRC go after him? That was the question. Well, we now have a report in the Times saying, yeah, they're going after him for the taxes owed. Now, estimates suggest that Robinson owes hundreds of thousands of pounds in unpaid taxes. However, if HMR investigates and finds that Robinson and his associates used these schemes to deliberately, as opposed to carelessly, avoid paying tax unlawfully, the liability could run into millions after those penalties are applied. Now, when I say associates, this is actually quite important because Tommy Robinson has declared bankruptcy a few years ago and he's been convicted of fraud. So he's sort of spending his time now being barred from acting as a director. So that means his companies can't actually be managed by him. It means others have had to run them, these potentially dodgy businesses on his behalf. And an article in the Times now saying that HMRC are going to go after this money. It reports that there's evidence that Robinson may attempt to get out of it by claiming he's not actually resident in the UK. Yes, that's right. The Little Englander nationalist is going to claim that he's an immigrant. What's more, the article suggests he may be able to make a case for this, given that he spends a lot of time being an immigrant in Spain. This is because, thanks to his Irish passport, he can come and go as he pleases between Britain and the EU. No 90-day limit for him, despite the fact he backed Brexit. However, the article reports that Needle pointed out that if he tries to claim that he's really a resident of Spain, which might be possible, then it will probably just invite the Spanish government to go, oh, are you? Well, I guess we'll be taxing you instead then. And Spain would likely present him with a bigger tax bill than the UK would. And HMRC can still, of course, tax Robinson for any money raised as part of British-based operations, regardless of his personal residency status. Mind you, I would still like to see him try. Piss myself laughing. If Tommy Robinson actually tried to defend himself against the British tax authorities by claiming he's an immigrant. Another little point, I should just put a little side point here, because as it's been emerging that Tommy Robinson is doing an awful lot of his travel on his Irish passport, the Irish Parliament have actually started to look at this and go, should he really have an Irish passport? Now, his mother's Irish, so I've no doubt he's legally entitled to one. But they are looking at ways of thinking, has he sort of deceptively gained this passport and should it be taken away from him? And of course, if there was some way for Ireland to take his Irish passport away from him, good luck travelling around Europe then. But anyway, that's a little side issue. HMRC will not just be going after Tommy Robinson, or Stephen Lennon, as the name will be on the legal papers, but those people who have been acting as directors of his companies for him while he has been barred from doing so. Now, if the companies themselves were breaking the law, and actually just a simple failure to post accounts is illegal, never mind if those companies were set up deliberately to evade tax, then those directors are also in the frame. If HMRC goes hard at them, not only will they presumably end up being barred from acting as directors themselves, including of their own legitimate businesses, which means they won't be able to set up the next wave of shell companies for Tommy Robinson either. And if HMRC go fast and hard on this, it might also dissuade others who might have otherwise been persuaded to do so. Imagine the situation. Tommy Robinson, barred from running his own company. The people who've been running those companies also barred. So he goes to someone else. I need someone to direct this next dodgy company that I'm going to use to try and divert my donations to and then put in my pockets later on without paying tax. At which point they'll look around and go, yeah, there's a bit of a pattern emerging for what happens to everyone who does this. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think it'll be an attractive prospect for the sort of person who's skilled at managing what sounds like money laundering to me to be invited to do a job that instantly puts you in the taxman's spotlight. Which might mean that once HMRC have done their work, if they get this right, not only will Robinson not be able to act as a director to any of his companies, even the ones that aren't breaking the law, but he might not even be able to persuade anyone else to manage them for fear of a tap on the shoulder from the taxman. At which point, his ability to grift money from the people he cons in order to pay for his luxury foreign travel, because that's where the money goes, becomes somewhat limited. Of course, he really needs to be held properly to account. That means serious criminal investigations into the violence he has incited and the hatred he's organised with his lies. But tax officers can be very useful in at least corralling people like this, who often depend on dodgy financial dealings in order to operate. So this could be an interesting one to watch now. Will Robinson claim in court that he's an immigrant? Oh, please let him do that. Will HMRC take his associates down so hard that nobody ever agrees to direct one of his dodgy companies again? If he ends up facing a bill he can't pay, he will, of course, just declare bankruptcy again, just like he's already done. What are the authorities going to do in order to prevent him just going around a cycle of funneling donations into his pocket, then declaring bankruptcy when he gets caught out? Boris Becker ended up in prison over playing silly buggers with his bankruptcy, and he wasn't malevolent, just silly. Could Robinson end up going the same way? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.